going on, my man?
What's up, bro?
What's up? Welcome and thank you, Omar, for joining us. Stay Sharp, ABC Capital Group, podcast number 3. And then we have my boy Omar, and you can give a little intro on yourself, if you may.
First of all, thank you for having me here.
Yeah.
My name is Omar Lopez, for all of our viewers out there. This is the first time that we ever met.
In person, for sure.
In person.
Yeah, so I've been following you for a while, man, and I like your stories. You give a lot of value. I know that you're new to Miami, so I decided to kind of reach out to you. We're in the same space, and you kind of rub shoulders with some of the people that now I'm getting introduced to over there at the boardroom. So I figured it'd be cool to kind of get to know you, see how we can make some shit up and build some value for each other.
Absolutely. No, yeah, it's kind of crazy that you started following me,
Yeah.
I've been getting that more often, It's like, hey, you came out on my feed or something.
Yeah.
I'm just like, what? Really? Like, okay. I guess the algorithm is working, right?
Yeah, the power of social media, bro, is super important, man. And the thing that kind of attracted me to your feed and all of that is that I see you're very disciplined. I see that you have the 5 a.m. routine. I'm definitely on that as well. The discipline part of it. I've fallen off, to be quite honest with you, this year a little bit. Of the cold baths and cold plunging and all that stuff. But
you got one?
I don't have one.
Oh, okay.
No, we actually did get one, but it was a mission.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because we had to put the ice all the time. We were
one of those?
Yeah, one of those. Yeah.
Just enough said.
Yeah, it just didn't work out after about 2-3 weeks of buying 40 pounds, not 40 pounds, 40 bags of ice every week. That shit was crazy.
Right.
But really good. I mean, but that's kind of the stuff, we kind of look at people that could bring us some stuff and hopefully we can bring some stuff to them. But talk to me a little bit about your routine, Omar, how that kind of affects you, how it benefits you in business and maybe a mindset and things like that.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, well, it's always a work in progress,
yeah.
Right? It's always a work in progress. They're just daily habits that get developed. I'm kind of back on it as well right now. In terms of exercising, last year, I was off of it for a few months because I got in an accident, and we could probably talk about that in a little bit.
Yeah.
You've probably seen it on my reels, but I used to be in the landscaping industry, and I had an accident.
Wow.
So I had surgery on my back.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I took a break for a couple months, but some of the routines that I do right now, first of all, is just building the discipline of getting up at a certain time, right? Alarm goes off at 5:40 in the morning, and then head to the gym. Sometimes maybe on a Monday morning, I'm trying to negotiate with myself, where it's you know what, I can probably sleep in, get a little bit of rest, right? But I literally had a talk with my wife this last weekend, and I told her, we were talking about leadership and all that stuff, and we have a team in our office and everything, and I said, you know what, we have to be the best leaders in our team, because why should my team member stick around and work for me, right? Why should Alejandro, why should Red or Stefan stick around and work for us? Right. You know what I'm saying? Who are we? They see something in us, they see something in our organization, and so, because I'm always trying to motivate her too,
Of course, yeah.
I said, we have to be disciplined in everything that we're doing to make sure to lead from the front where they say, you know what, these people are going to take care of us.
Yeah.
I want to work with them. I see a future with them, right? So I remember Monday morning came around, and for whatever reason, I'm over here trying to negotiate with myself, and I said, hell no, I just had that talk with her yesterday.
Yeah.
I can't just have that talk and then sleep in, right?
Facts.
So it's just these little things, right? So waking up in the morning, going to the gym, hitting the gym after that. Another thing that I've been doing is intermittent fasting.
Yeah.
So I always skip breakfast, and if I can, I'll skip lunch too.
Wow.
Yeah. So I won't eat till later in the day, 4 or 5 in the afternoon. Sometimes I give in on that.
Yeah.
If I'm feeling a little tired or something, I'll probably eat at 2 or 3.
Nice.
That's
great, bro. I just want to get this on camera too, because we were talking a little bit about it off of camera, and I think it's important, for our viewers and for people out there, anybody that's, looking to start a business or whatever it is, the story that we have behind it is super important, right? Because there might be somebody out there who's struggling, somebody out there who is kind of just starting or having those doubts about whether I start, what do I do, how do I do it? And can you talk to me a little bit about your journey? How'd you get here to this place? You have a successful business. You've been through it. We were talking about how we both immigrants. We both come from You know, I'm from Venezuela, you're from Mexico. So talk to us a little bit about like what that journey has been through and how you got to where you are right now.
Absolutely, yeah. So I was actually born in California.
Okay.
So my parents are immigrants, and they came just, regular Mexicans, right?
Yeah.
Paisas is what we call them, you know?
Yeah.
And just looking for a better future for us, and just growing up, my dad, we kind of think of it as maybe middle class, but it's probably closer to lower class.
Yeah.
Right, just a regular job, working as a gardener.
Yeah.
My mom working at a hotel, in the laundry department. From there, got into high school and all that, and then in high school, I started smoking a little bit of weed, hanging around with like the buddies and all that. I was always a smart dude. I would always get decent grades, pretty good grades actually.
Yeah.
And then I started selling weed, then I started selling dope and coke and all that, making a little bit of extra money. I always worked hard because my dad, he always used to take me to work with him ever since I was 6 years old.
Wow.
On the weekends.
Yeah.
So he had his little gardening route, and every Saturday since I was 6, he actually started relying on me. I was like his right hand man to help him do his casas, And then from there, I started building up the discipline of working hard. And then I got suspended a couple times, a couple fights here and there,
Nice.
selling weed here and there, and I ended up getting suspended. Oh, I actually got expelled. I got expelled. I got caught selling weed.
Mm-hmm.
So then from there, they ended up expelling me, and I went back to the high school that I had gotten expelled from. Because I went to like one of the side high schools where you can like get all your credits fast.
Yeah.
And I got them all super fast, and I went back to the regular high school and I graduated early as a junior. I know, crazy.
That's nuts.
I don't think anybody's ever done that.
No.
Because typically you
go there to waste time.
You go there to waste time, or if you end up graduating, you graduate like a year later. You remember that? Like when somebody got expelled?
Oh yeah. It's funny because and keep on with it. Not all. So
all right, so from there I ended up graduating early, and when I went to college, it was like a little community college. But honestly, at the time, I didn't even really know what I wanted to do because, unfortunately, like our parents never really instilled like goal setting or having a vision for the future. They just want what's best for us.
Yeah.
But they don't really they just want you to maybe get a good job.
Yeah.
Right.
That was their goal. That was their vision.
Get a good job.
But they didn't have another mindset or another frame. We come from, and we have it really is cool because we have such a similar story. And just a little bit about myself, obviously, since this is our first time meeting, so we get to know each other, right? Like I told you before, I was actually born in Venezuela. For my family, I'm my brother, who's Danny from DS Home Pros, he's was born here, but I was born in Venezuela. We came over here. My mom had me when she was 15 years old, 16 years old. My grandma was out there right now in the office, right? She was the first to come here, and man, we actually had kind of like the same thing. We were definitely poor. Definitely, there was no question about that. Just because my mom came early and they had to get a job early and start doing whatever they could to make some money for us to go to school and do what we needed to do. But when I went to high school, I was already getting in trouble in 5th grade. Right, that's the first time that I ever kind of skipped school. Was in 5th grade.
Okay.
Didn't have a male role model in my life. My father, we didn't have nobody. I have an uncle who is in my life, but other than that, there was nobody, for me. And as far as a father's concerned, obviously I was raised with a lot of beautiful women in my life. Thank you. But man, so that led to kind of, same thing, bro. I started selling weed too when I was like 14 years old, and I was out in the streets and hanging with the wrong crowd and getting in trouble, all sorts of stuff, fights all the time too, And I got kicked out of school too. I went to about 14 different schools in my life.
Wow.
And everything changed for me. The moment that I had this guy. When Alex was born, my wife Jill, we've been together since we were 14 years old, 15 years old. So shout out to her for putting up with me all this time.
Wow. Oh yeah. Shout out to Jill.
Yeah. It's such a blessing. To be able to grow from that. And as I was pulling up to this office, I told you with such gratitude, being in business and doing this has always been a dream of mine. And we're here, dude. We're here. We're making it happen. We're bootstrapping this thing little by little, We're not where we want to be, but we're moving in that direction. But from your goal, your vision, like from whatever you're doing, you can create so much from that. Like I have my whole family plugged into this business one way or another, right? And that's so important to be able to recognize that. And I know that we're doing this podcast to like inspire people,
right?
To inspire somebody that maybe didn't grow up the best way, didn't have all the opportunities that maybe other people have, and we're a product of going through all that shit and still being here, still having multi-million-dollar companies, still being able to help people, still being able to raise kids, healthy kids, and grow out of who the person you were, So, just really important to always be reminded of that we're here for leadership, right? We're here for that example. We're the chosen ones, and Kent, says that all the time, right? Ken, you did Kent training with him and stuff, and he, in the last boardroom meeting, it was like that really stuck out for me. Like there is one person that's the chosen one, right?
Right.
And you're the one that it's on your back to be the leader, right?
Right.
For your team, for your wife, for your family, for your kids, for the community.
Absolutely.
So yeah, man. But we share the same stories, and it's crazy that we're here now.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I think we have to go through adversity like that. To be able to have like the success that we have right now. Because you see other people that may come from backgrounds that they didn't have it hard, right? They for lack of a better word, they grew up soft.
Yeah.
Right? They grew up soft and they didn't have the trials and the tribulations of life, right?
Yeah.
And so they haven't built that discipline to have success or just, being able to have the confidence in themselves, to, enter an entrepreneurial endeavor or even be fit, whatever it is, right? Yeah. So I think definitely, everything that we've been through has helped us, so from 1,000%. There, 1,000%. So from there, I guess it sounds like, you've been through a lot, and I respect that, we weren't like necessarily like poor. We always had like something, right?
Yeah.
But like, my dad, he's always made like roughly like $30K a year.
Yeah.
So like my mom, maybe like another $30K a year.
Yeah.
That's pretty close to nothing.
That's definitely, you can't live here in Miami and in California today with that.
Right. No, absolutely.
Right.
30K nowadays is
an assignment fee.
Yeah, that's an assignment fee, or I spend more per month
on marketing,
in marketing, or just in everything, right?
Yeah.
Per month. Yeah. So from there, I ended up going to the community college. Since I didn't really know exactly what I wanted to do, I took some horticulture classes.
Horticulture?
Horticulture.
What is that?
It's like plant science.
Oh shit! This guy really loves weed.
Yeah, so it was like turf grass management, stuff like that. Since I was already in that industry with my dad growing up in landscaping, gardening, I used to go work with my uncle, trimming trees and all that. I took this one class on arboriculture, trees,
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I think this is what I want to do. Yeah. I'm going to have my own landscaping company, right?
Nice.
So I did that, knocked it out super fast in 2.5 years. And during that transition, I started hanging around with a crowd of guys that had no goals, no visions. The homies, right?
Yeah.
The homies, just like not doing shit. So from there, I started not doing shit too. You're the average of the people that you hang out with. It's facts.
Yeah. 1,000%.
So it just creeps up on you, right? It just creeps up on you from there. My positive daily habits started kind of dropping off. Started drinking a little bit more and all that. Next thing you know, I had like 4 years where it was just drinking all the time.
Yeah.
Drinking all the time, and just fucking up. I had a little sister who had passed away too.
Oh wow.
Yeah, 18 years old. So that had like an even bigger impact on our family and on myself.
Of course.
And I just kind of went down the drain for a little bit, So that was like 4 years from 2014 to 2018. Then I pretty much got like tired, right? Because I just wanted to clean up my act.
You were sick and tired of being sick and tired.
I was sick and tired of being sick and tired,
Nice.
No money in the bank. I was even surprised that I hadn't even kind of gotten that far, because it never really seemed like me, But it just crept up on you. And from there, I said, you know what? I had this one time that it was just like the triggering moment, And I said, you know what? Like, I'm tired of this shit, right? So, well, little by little, actually, I disengaged myself from like the people that I was hanging out with. I went to go live with another friend, and then from there I took on the risk. This was like my first risk for an entrepreneur endeavor. I actually quit my job that I was in for a year and a half, and since I was a tree trimmer at the time, it was palm tree trimming season in our area in Palm Springs, California, in June. So from there, I bought all my tree trimming equipment. I ended up buying like a chainsaw and all that stuff, and I said I'm gonna go trim trees on my own.
Yeah.
Right. So I ended up quitting my job. You know, I was like, what happens when the season falls off, right? Like, you know what? I said, I'll go get another job if I have to.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So from there, I fell down 3 days later.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
way to God to tell you, no, you're not chopping trees, but
you know what? That's a good way of looking at it.
absolutely.
Yeah.
That's not the route I want for you. So I have to break your back because you're so stubborn that you're not gonna listen to me any other way.
Right.
So
wow, that's a good way of
I'm
putting
gonna
it.
be real loud about it.
Yeah.
That's great. You know, and yeah, man, that's awesome. So man, you took a risk.
And I failed.
And you failed.
I mean, that's kind of how I look at it, right? Like,
Sure.
I failed. I fell down from the palm tree on a brick wall on my ass. Got rushed to the hospital.
Wow.
And I had spinal surgery 3 days later from quitting my job.
Wow.
You know?
That's awesome.
So from there, I figured that like I had a back brace for a while, and I was kind of crippled. And then that's when I said, you know what? I went to like HVAC school for a little bit. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna be a technician. Right? That's all we kind of knew how to do, right?
Yeah.
Like things with your hands. And then from there, I was like, you know what? I don't want to do any of
Which
this
are
stuff.
great, by the way.
Your hands?
Yeah, yeah, your hands are great. I'm saying those things are good to do,
Right.
Like those are businesses that I think nowadays with AI and all that shit, you know, they're gonna be great businesses.
Absolutely.
So, but yeah, so continue.
Yeah. So from there, I said, you know what? I don't want to do any of this stuff. You know, at the time, the light bulb that went off, I said I want to be rich.
Good.
So from there, I said, what do I have to do to become rich?
Nice.
And I was just like tired. You know, I was like, you know what? I'm not hanging around with the old crowd. I'm just changing. I'm a different person. You know, and I remember.
But notice how, like, for anybody out there that's watching right now, and you're really trying to pick up the gems and nuggets here, like, notice how many times Omar has mentioned that the environment is what either helped propel him or poisoned him. So, guys, if you're out there and you're not in a good place, like check your environment, bro. Like plants, if we're talking about trees, right? If they're in an environment that is not fertile, if they're not an environment that's taken care of, they're not gonna grow right? If it's overpopulated and you have too many trees in one place, and I mean, I don't know as much, I'm sure, as you do, but I do know that there needs to be soil for the plant to be able to grow, and it needs space, and it needs its own time, and it needs to be around healthy stuff, because if not, it gets poisoned by the environment. So the first thing that you need to do when you're scaling in your mindset and in your success and in your ambitions is to check your environment. What's going on around you physically, right? Like, what friends do you have? Like, you know, check that out. And then also, you know, what type of environment are you creating in your head? Like, what are you watching? What are you listening to? What are you allowing to seep into you? Right into you, because that's what's gonna grow out of you.
Absolutely.
So that's really a key factor, is to check your environment.
Yeah, garbage in, garbage out.
There you go.
Everything is energy.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Everything is energy. We all give off a certain amount of energy.
For sure.
You know, and if you're around negative people, that's negative energy.
Absolutely.
They will bring your ass down. They will criticize you. They will humiliate you.
Yeah.
Make fun of you. You know, they don't feel okay about themselves, so they want to make you feel not okay, and they'll drag you down.
Absolutely, man. So you wanted to be rich, and that was the thought. Like what happened there after you said, "Hey, I want to be rich." Like, everybody wants to be rich, right? What's the difference between you and what got you to this path to lead you to actually becoming rich and being on that?
Right. So, you know, one thing to point out to like our audience as well is, you know, you have to believe in yourself.
Yeah.
Right. For some reason, even in my darkest days, when I was doing bad, I always like had a belief in myself.
Nice.
You know what I'm saying? There was always that seed inside of me that I always knew I was gonna do something great.
Yeah.
Even though I was still up, like I always knew I was destined for greatness.
Yeah.
You know? So just so that everybody knows, believe in yourself.
Absolutely.
From there, I went to the library. I was like, I'm gonna start reading because I started seeing YouTube videos, and I seen the more you learn, the more you earn.
Yeah.
Right.
Nice.
So I was like, I'm gonna go get some books. I went to the library, the public library, got like 6 books. I started reading, and I seen Robert Kiyosaki's book again. One of them.
Which one?
It's it was Why the Rich Are Getting Richer.
With Donald Trump?
No, it's the one with Tom Wheelwright. It's like a white one. His tax guy.
Oh, okay.
Tom Wheelwright.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. And I had already stumbled upon Cash Flow Quadrant a few years back, but I only read it like halfway. So I didn't really take it serious.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember that book. It looked kind of thick. Why the Rich Are Getting Richer. I was a little intimidated by it at first. I thought it was going to be a hard book. But when I got it, it was real easy to read.
Yeah.
And he started talking about real estate, tax-free real estate benefits and all that stuff. And I was like, you know what? Real estate kind of popped up. And I started going on YouTube. I started watching other videos. And I seen at the time it was crypto, drop shipping, e-commerce, a little bit of everything. Everybody's trying to sell you something, right?
Right.
And I said, you know what? This real estate thing, I think I could do this. So I started reading more of his books. And it was Rich Dad Poor Dad, honestly, for me.
Yeah, that was the book that changed my life. I was gonna save it, but since you brought it up, that was the first book I ever read cover to cover. When I was that was the first book I ever read cover to cover. That's right when I was like 19 years old. I had just, we had just had Alex, and I was in my room, and I was like, fuck, like shit is real right now. Like I had to, figure something out, and again for me, it's like I the same belief has been in me as well to like destined for like great things. I've always known that I'm gonna help people. I've always known that I wanted to be the best person possible for myself, although I have many fucking flaws. But I always try, right? Like we're always attempting to be better. And but the one thing for me, I don't know, do you have any kids or no?
No, not
yet. But for me, and I say this like it's crazy because when Alex was born, like everything was different for me. Like I knew all that stuff is good, meaning like, I want to be rich and blah, but like it was so simple for me. I just wanted to be a great father. Right? Like that was like my driving force. Like I wanted to be, and I still do to this day. So, he's along with, Aiden as well. But like when I had, Alex was the first one. So it was like, dude, like I don't have a father. I didn't come from a father. I never know what a good male role model is, bro. Like I just want to be the best person that I could be. So my son could grow up and not have some of the same issues that I had to go through. So that was really a pivotal moment. And then reading Rich Dad Poor Dad, I was like, again, like all this, like I'm just gonna be an investor.
Right.
Like dang, like forget all this going from here to here to here to here. I'm gonna be an investor. That's not what happened.
Right. I know your feeling, bro. I know your feeling.
That's not what happened. But I was like, why would I go through all this? I would just start here.
Right.
But that starting here took me 25 years or 26 years.
Really? How old are you now?
I'm 40.
Oh.
40, yeah.
Wow.
So when I say that, it's because at 19 I ended up going. I went into sales.
You don't even look 40, bro. Okay.
Thanks, bro. Thanks.
Yeah, hell yeah. That's badass.
Yeah, I got a good routine, bro.
Hell yeah.
But listen, like at 18, I knew sales. I knew like what I want to do. I'm not great at school. I can really communicate very well. I've always been pretty smart as well, but I've been great at communication. I've been great at being able to get ideas across and get what I want. Right. So I was like, I'm gonna do sales, and I ended up going to community college as well. And there was a point there where I made a decision. I used to go door to door selling like vacations, packages, and coupons, and just all sorts of stuff door to door.
Wow.
And I was like, this is gonna be my college. Like, forget school, they're not teaching it. I'm gonna learn how to do this. just because I wanted to gain the skills that were required to have the fortitude to make some crazy shit happen. Because that position that I had was a 1099 position. I didn't get any money like per hour or anything like that. It was just 1099. I had to pay for my own gas. I had to pay for everything. It was crazy. I can't even believe I did that. And I was walking around neighborhoods all day, knocking on doors, and I would suck. Like, I was really bad at it. So I'd go a day out through a week and not sell anything. And I couldn't understand why. Like, I'm like, yo, I'm out here, I'm knocking on these doors. But then I was like, bro, like, something has to give, right? And it was that. It was a belief, the mindset of like, I'm gonna make this happen no matter what.
Right.
Like this, I'm not giving up on this.
Right.
So doing that, from there I ended up going to Carnival Cruise Lines and did a sales position there over the phone and ended up becoming a sales coach there as well at Carnival, where we had many teams and stuff. Like, I was there for like 12 years. So that's why I said I definitely didn't go the entrepreneur route first because
You were there for a few years?
I was there for 12 years.
At Carnival?
Yeah, at Carnival.
Oh shit.
Yeah, managing teams, doing sales coaching, training.
Wow.
All that, and that because that was like, again, a training ground for me as well, a stepping stone, and it also provided a lot of safety, security that I needed at the time to raise my family. Right, and still worked super hard, still did all of that, and I took all those skills and slowly became an entrepreneur because I was managing, big teams over there at Carnival. Then I said to myself, I'm done with this. Like, I don't want to work for anybody else. That was when I was about, probably like 33 or something like that, and I didn't start a business right away. I was like, okay, so if I'm running a team of 35 people right now, like, how do I get myself out and run a team of 10 people? So I started looking for opportunities as sales managers and things like that, but for a smaller company where I didn't have as much responsibilities. Because I was like, bro, if I'm running a team here that's making 25 million a year, like, and I'm getting paid 120,000, I could go to a way smaller company and manage 10 people and get the same shit. It's just Carnival is such a big company, that obviously that's what it is. So I went to a smaller company. I gave myself a raise. I was making like around 135 to 150 at the time, and I ended up running a team of like 10 people, creating a department. Then I was
what company was that?
It was actually, it's called Vaporfy. They do electric. Not electric. I mean, electric cigarettes. They're one of the main companies. Vapes. Yeah, before vapes were super duper popular. They were one of the 5 companies here that were actually doing it like really big. So anyways, I worked with them for a little while, for about a year, and then I said, okay, same shit. Time's up. Like, what are we doing? And
how many years were you there?
I was only there for like a year and a half. Year and a half or so. One of my buddies, one of the guys that I was his manager, Danny, had a buddy of his who created a company to sell wax products.
Okay.
And then he was like, look, bro, they want, he needs a sales director, like, he wants to grow a team and blah, blah, blah. And then that was when I took my opportunity. I said, okay, so I'm gonna do this, and in my mind, I'm gonna do it like a consultant. Right? I knew that it was going to be a short period of time because I knew that I was going to build a department, and once it was up and running, just like everything else in a business, that there's no need for you, right? It's just what it is right now. Like, we hire people on consultant basis. Hey, can you run my ads? Can you do this? Can you do that? But if I get to figure that shit out, I'm gonna either get it for cheap or do it myself, right? So and that's business,
right?
So that's kind of what happened in that opportunity, and I was like, okay, so now I went from having a team of 35 to 10 to building a team of 6 or 7 to now, like, yo, I'm done with this. I'm gonna build a team on my own. Now it's a matter of like finding where I can do that, and then I ended up going to. My brother was becoming a GC at the time, right? Which was great. And I was like, bro, I've always wanted to be an investor. I'm gonna do that. Like, we're gonna buy houses, fix and flip them. Like, this is it. This is what we're doing. I had a little bit of money for my 401k, things that I've been saving, all of that. So I was like, look, I'm gonna take this risk now. So I started looking on YouTube and all of that. Ran into a guy, Alex Pardo. I don't know if you know him.
The name actually does ring a bell. If I probably follow him.
Yeah. Flip Empire Show. He has a podcast called the Flip Empire Show. And he was looking at like hiring an acquisitions manager.
Okay.
And I was like, this seems like a sales job. Like, let me look at this. Send him a video. It's funny. I was looking at the video the other day.
When you sent it to him?
When I sent it to him, like, hey, I don't know shit about real estate basically, but I'm looking to learn, sell, and blah blah blah. And there's where the journey started. I thought I was going into a company that bought properties to sell and fix and flip. Unbeknownst, or little did I know that he was just wholesaling, right? That's like, I was like, this is nuts. Like, that's how I felt when I first understood what was happening. Like, is this shit, like, does everybody know this exists? Because it's like crazy.
Right.
So I was like, wow, like, I can do this. Right. I did it for a couple of weeks. And I knew right away that I can like have this as a business.
Wow.
And after I worked with Alex for about a year, or I think it was like 9 months or something like that, I worked with him, and after that I was like, I'm doing this on my own, right? Saved up some money, had some money, and started, just kind of doing it on my own, like,
nice.
Marketing and all of that. And that was like 4 years ago. And then I was just putting deals together, not too serious as far as business goes. A year ago, that's when we kind of really got it together, right? I had a lot of trials and tribulation, even here, like to get to this point too. Went through a couple different partners, great friends of mine still. But again, the end goal here for me was to do this and to be here now.
Nice.
Right? And that's why all those other things didn't work out. All those other partnerships, all those other things, it's because it needed to be like this.
Right.
So
you just wanted to have it for yourself.
Right, for myself, right. So that's kind of like where we're at now. Thank God and thank you for not having to break my back and fall off a building and all that to figure that out. But yeah, man. So I think that everything happens for a reason.
Absolutely.
And I think that we just have to be open to hearing and open to really just going after what it is that we want.
Right.
Right. That's super important. And I worked with Jordy for a little while here. And
he worked here?
Yeah,
he worked with you?
Yeah, he worked with me here in the office.
And he was part of your team.
Well, we worked together here. So here's
you guys were like partners or what?
So Jordy and I met, I think, early on in the business. Jordy's a young guy, hungry, and I've always coached. Actually, one of my first posts actually was Jordy sending me a text, like thanking me for helping him hit. I think it was like 200K or something where he did his first year of. I don't remember exactly the number, but it was a big number for him. And he was like, thanks, bro, I owe you a lot, blah, 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 whatever, because I always would help him out. He wanted to learn about sales, and I would talk to him all the time, coach him, and on his whole team, though, Hansel and Brandon, really great, amazing guys, and so I always helped them, I looked at them as, they're good with my kids, too. They're the same age, pretty much. And then they're vicious and they're hustlers and they want to learn and they're kicking ass. So anyways, we worked together. So when I got this office, we got this office like 2 years ago. And my brother and I, my brother's like, yo, we should get an office. And I was like, yeah, but we're gonna get an office. We don't even have a team. Like, what are we gonna do? And we were just like, let's just get an office. And this office is pretty big, like for 2 people. You know
Right.
what I'm saying?
Right.
So we were like, it, we'll just fill it up. And then I was like, shit, you know what? Jordy was working from his apartment at the time.
Office share.
Yeah. So he was working from his apartment, and I was like, yo, I'm getting this office. We're always talking. Like, why don't you come to the office and kind of work from the office? You guys could come here and do that. So I gave him a space here, and the idea was kind of like to do deals together, see what happens, what comes up. We decided to partner up a little bit. When these guys came from college, they came over the summer one time, and we're like, okay, let's partner up, like let's kind of collab, like it makes so much sense to do that. And we did. We created a really good process, really good way to get shit done. And this is where, Jordy, I love you, and I tell him all the time, it's like when you're young and success can blind you sometimes. Because, and I say this and he knows this, is, we had really great fucking months, right? We had some really good times. We did the best month we ever had. I think we almost hit, with Jordy and them, the best month we had was, we hit like about close to 400K.
Wow.
Right? Like that was big for us. We never had done anything like that. And that was when we actually joined forces. And that was coming off of another month that we probably hit like...
All wholesale?
Yeah, all wholesale.
Closed revenue, 400K in a month.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and that was the first time we saw numbers like that. And the month before that, we were still doing great. We were doing like 200, somewhere around there. So we were really pumping them.
Right.
And then I think what happened, and Jordy, you'll be on here too one day so you can defend yourself. But I think what happened is that obviously as you start splitting that up, you start seeing who's doing what's going on, and those numbers get a little bit, they're big numbers, right? And then you're like, we could do this ourselves, is what I know they thought, just like I would have thought that, right? And so they were like, okay, we're gonna kind of like I love you, you're great, but I think we're better if we go our separate ways and kind of do our thing, right?
Right.
And I talk to Jordy every day because he calls me almost every day, and I'm like, dude, I'm telling you, it's like baking a cake, bro. Like, you need time in the fucking oven. Like, it's not just all about mixing and all that. There's time where you're just sitting there and just baking like a plant. It needs time to grow. And if you get out too early, it's not gonna be the plant that it needs to be or the cake that it needs to be. You need time. There's no other way around it. It's just time. So, now he's like, bro, sometimes he calls me like, man, I wish I would have stayed and we would have, been able to, like, we would be making so much more money, whatever. And we still got time, but like, it's, you have to do that, especially with younger guys, if you're coaching, mentoring them, whatever. Like, you have to sometimes let people make their own mistakes. I learned that from being a father. You don't want to always like, no, this is I know best and blah, 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 because they don't fucking learn. You might get somebody to do it like that, and they might do it for a little while, but it's not going to last if it's not their decision.
Right.
So it's always important to let people make their mistakes.
Right.
Or whatever, they're lessons. They're not mistakes,
Absolutely.
they're lessons.
Absolutely.
So, and that's happened, with a couple people that I've coached and mentored, even people that have worked here. They leave and, oh, I'm gonna do this myself. I'm like, how's that going? It's great that you took the initiative to do that. Whatever. Now I'm doing another thing, and now I'm like, because this is a lot harder than it looks on YouTube and, on videos and this, that, and the other.
1,000%.
It's a lot, we only talk about the good times. A lot of us, I might fall at that too, and only show our times that we're winning, and oh my God, we got this deal, and in 2 weeks we made 100K and like whatever. But that's few and far between.
That's 15 years of experience.
Right, and that's 15 years of experience.
Yeah, like now you get those, but that's 15 years of being in the game.
Yeah, man, and you think that that's gonna come, easily, which, I hope it does, but the truth is that most likely it won't. And then what are you gonna do when you're faced with that? That's important. But to go back to that, it's man, failure, setbacks, those things, make you the lessons that you have. Those things make you the person that you are today. So we wouldn't be here without them.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's really important, man. But yeah, so Jordy was in the office, left, and then that's when we, like Alex, my son, and Chris, his best friend, who's a really bright guy too, super ambitious, kind of like the right hand man here in the office, does a lot of stuff for us. We were like, let's just do our own thing, and we started ABC Capital Group, and we've been up and running now for about a year. And we have our core values are all about collaboration. So I know that ABC, a lot of people think it stands for always be closing, but for us it's always be collaborating. Right? We're always looking to see how we can collaborate with other people. I always try to instill that in them. It's like, where do we find value? For us, is people. That has to be a core value. It's our capital in ABC Capital, it comes from people. Like, I know how to create through people. Like, that is like the thing that I have understood in the long time of managing, coaching, and doing all of that. Is that the true capital comes from people.
Absolutely. I mean, one of our core values is relationships.
Nice.
And that's why I'm here today.
Nice, yeah.
Right? Because I'm relatively new to Miami.
Yeah.
And I said, you know what? I got to plug myself in with everybody out here.
For sure.
I met Jordy at an event.
Nice.
With what's his name, Marco Jovi.
Okay. Yeah, Marco.
Marco or Jove. How do you say his last name? Jove, right?
Yeah.
Jovi. He had a little one-on-one event, and Jordy was there.
Oh, got you. Okay.
Yeah. So I know that Jordy's a dog. I've been getting to know him a little bit. Yeah, and he's been kind of telling me about what he's been doing and everything. So I know he's a real dog if you're talking about him, saying that he's a dog.
That's my boy, bro. I got love for that guy. But he's great. And that's the type of people you want to compete with,
Absolutely.
He's the type of guy you want to compete with. He's, again, I always say this. This is like if we're an MMA, we're MMA fighters. That's how I always tell everybody. We're good. We're kind-hearted people. We're fathers, this, that. But when we get in this ring, like, my job is to fucking cut your throat off.
Absolutely.
In the best way possible.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Like, like in the best way possible.
Right.
Like I like it sucks, but
that's what you should be.
Yeah.
That's what we should be as men. Honestly,
exactly.
As men, we have to be some savages.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like for ourselves,
Absolutely.
for our family, for our kids.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? We have to set the example.
Right.
And if you put us in business, put us in life, we have to be able to defend ourselves and prevail.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no other fucking way about it.
There is.
You know what I'm saying? I'm a kind man, but do not take my kindness for granted.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Or
Absolutely.
try to take something from me or my family, and you'll see, like, it's just not the same guy.
Absolutely.
Right? And that's a big lesson for me to have learned in business. I've gotten burned so many times. I really am a person. I am truly a go-giver. I'm truly a person that, I'm looking to help whoever I can, whenever I can, just because. Just because. Like, it's not for, like, I think I'm gonna get, like, it's just because. I know that a bigger person, or not person, but God's taking care of me, bro. You don't need to take care of me. But if you want to and we can do something together, that's great. Right? But that energy, also that, like, naivete, right, like, has gotten me into situations where through learning as a business person, like, I'm like, bro, why did I get into this, or how did I get into this? And that's why some things haven't worked out, but again, they've just been lessons. They've been situations where I maybe have been too kind or too nice about a deal, or like something where I'm giving too much. Like, that is something that I still continually have to learn and relearn. Is like, bro, you gotta fucking be out here for you first, for you first and then everybody else. Right?
Absolutely.
That's in business. That's really, really big and really important.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Somebody asked us, they said, share a story about making a tough decision that you made that went against like what everybody else says to do. Like where you went against the tide. You
Like
made your,
a
and you
like
made your own
conventional
decision.
wisdom. What was it like?
That went against conventional wisdom. So is there any decisions that you've made in your business that you would say goes against what everybody else says that you should have been doing that has worked for you?
Bro, for me, what I've done, everything I've done has been against conventional wisdom.
I feel like a lot of things that we do is contrarian, right?
Everything, dude.
Right.
You know, first of all, from just, you know, having kids so early, being, you know, with my wife since 14 years old, you know, having a business, so all of that is against conventional wisdom.
Right.
So I think it goes all to you just have to figure out what it is or who you want to be, become that person, and kind of just make it happen.
I think, you know, one of the things that I probably did not need to do early on was like get my office. You know, at the time, probably what I should have been focusing on was on my profitability, on making sure that all my numbers were tracked and everything. But at the time, my vision was just so large. I said, you know what, like let's just keep going, you know. And now we're in a good position. But at the time, I remember just having a big office, like you said, with only a couple of people.
Yeah.
Right. And so to somebody else that is probably savvier in business, they probably would have said, well, show me your P&L, show me your numbers. Like, what are you doing in an office? Right? You're doing it the wrong way. Right. But then slowly but surely, we were able to fill it up with more people and just really just hunker down, because even like this last year was really one of the most challenging years that I've ever experienced in my life.
Wow.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
in business?
In business and life.
Personal, okay.
Yeah, because a lot of my life is really revolved around business, to be honest. You know, everything that I do is business. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So for me, when I came to Miami, like even that might have been a little contrarian as well, because I had no friends, no family. I had just came over here a couple of times. I sold my house that I had in California, and I just told my wife, you know what, let's take off. Let's take off. Came over here, started looking at places. Everything just happened super fast. And we got approved for a house, just rented something, and came over here, started growing a small team, operating out of our living room, got the office, and then the interest rates went up a little bit. You know, and when they went up a little bit at the time, I was still a little scattered because we were targeting other states for like hedge funds. It was like a little hedge fund activity.
Yeah.
And we were doing some deals, and we were doing outbound marketing. And at the time, now investors were withdrawing because of the rise in the interest rates. We thought that the recession was going to come. Yeah. So then from there, it was during that time that I got my office and everything. I seen everything happening, and I didn't give a shit. Yeah. You know, I said, like, I was like, you know what? I don't give a shit about the interest rates. I'm going to keep on going. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Let me get the office. When in reality, I seen other people like withdrawing, you know, kind of taking a step back. But for me, I was like, I was still prevailing. Yeah. I said, let me keep on going, right? So that was a little contrarian right there. Got the office. Boom. Next thing you know, one of my team members had to leave, and investors weren't really buying. I was getting my ass handed to me. Yeah. You know, I remember, I think December I lost money, January lost money. Quarter one I lost like $92,000. Wow. Quarter two I lost like $34,000. Wow. And from there, I was able to pivot just really. So during those times, it was one of the most stressful times of my life.
Oh my God, I could imagine.
You know, moving to Miami, just racking up my expenses, you know, back up against the wall, thinking like, why did I get the office? Why am I hiring the team? I should have you know, started off a little slower, you know, and I just had an intense amount of pressure on myself. Yeah. And I said, you know what, like, I'm just going to keep on showing up every day. Keep on showing up every day. Keep on showing up every day. Boom, quarter three, we profited like $150,000. Nice. And then from there, we've just been consistent. Boom, boom, boom. Hiring more team members. We're able to fill up the office. Just hired a new guy this last week. So, yeah, I guess for the audience, you know, when everybody else was atrophying, you know, going back, you know, reducing their marketing and all
Right.
that. I remember Ken Clothier too.
Yeah.
Ken Clothier, he had a message on one of the meetings, and he said, "This is where your competition stops, and this is where you guys have to keep on going."
And I think that's so cool. And I was actually gonna mention that, and through that time, you went to a place like the boardroom and got yourself plugged into the right environment, to the right people. Because if you were around the wrong people, you wouldn't be sitting here right now.
Absolutely.
With a situation like that. And that's how powerful that is, because imagine having your back against the wall with just one person that was like, yeah, maybe you should get out.
Right.
Maybe you should, like, and imagine that person
Man, that's a good point right there.
you know?
Yeah.
So just imagine, right? Like if that would have happened. So kudos to you, bro.
Absolutely.
You know, for being able to put yourself, knowing or not, in a situation where that was going to happen for you, but you were supported by the right people.
Absolutely. No, that's a great point right there, because it was like during that time as well. You know, when I ended up selling my house, I made like, I did a section 121. I think we profited like 160 G's. And from there, I grabbed 50 G's and I dropped it for Ken Clothier's one-on-one.
Wow.
So it was during that time when I was going through this entire shit
Uh-huh.
that I basically I had the support from him, you know?
Yeah, that's nuts.
Yeah.
That's great, man. And without making that move, think about it. It was, and you had the best person that you could have had in a time like that.
Right.
Like he's a savage.
He's a savage.
Yeah. So imagine not having him in your corner during that time.
Absolutely.
And that was a $50, you know, thing that's super, you know, contrarian, as you mentioned. Like people would be like, dude, you're about to move, you're about to do that, and you're gonna drop, you know, 1/3 of what you made on your house on this fucking guy just to do coaching. You don't even have a business yet.
Right.
You don't even have like are you crazy? And that was a big move on your part to really be able to get you to where you are now. So that's great, bro.
And everything happens for a reason too, like you said, because the reason that the way that I kind of got in front of Ken Clothier too for the one-on-one was I was already part of the boardroom, and I'm a firm believer in writing down and setting your goals. Set my goals, personal goals, relationship goals, asset goals. It's around the acronym PRAISE: personal, relationships, assets, intellectual, learning, spiritual, and exercise. It's a simple framework, you know, just sit down, set yourself a personal goal.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, a relationship goal, I want to get closer to BG.
Yeah.
You know, asset, you know, I want to make X amount of money. That's for money. Intellectuals, I want to learn this new thing. Right. Spiritual, you know, be connected to God, meditation, and exercise is health.
Yeah.
Right. So from there, I had set a goal to get closer to Ken Clothier.
Nice.
Because I was trying to set goals with in relationships to people that I am not really close with, but I admire and I respect because they're more successful or they just have life figured out, right?
Right.
So for me, it was Ken Clothier. Mm-hmm. So I said, how am I going to get closer? Because, you know, he's a tough cookie.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I set a goal to be closer to him, and I said I'm going to be in his circle. So from there, I remember going to the Scale and Escape event that they had at the Hard Rock. I was already part of the boardroom, so I got in there for free. And I seen him, and my wife said, hey, go talk to him. And I said, what am I going to talk to him about? She said, oh, remember you had that one question about this? I said, oh, for sure. So I went to go talk to him. He was kind of quick to answer. And I said, hey, how can I get closer to you? And how can we work together? And he said, we're going to talk about that tomorrow at the VIP breakfast. And I remember a bunch of other people were getting invited to this VIP breakfast, but I wasn't invited.
Yeah.
You know, I think in the questionnaire, you had to be making like a certain amount of money or more to even be invited.
Right.
And so from there, I was like, I wasn't invited. He said, you're not going to be invited. Go tell Kathleen to put you on the list. Right. I said, fuck it. So from there, I went to the breakfast the next day in the morning, and he's pitching us for his coaching. 1 year, 100 racks. 6 months, 50 racks.
Nice.
And so what did I do? I signed myself up.
Nice.
Like, I wasn't gonna put myself in that position. I wasn't gonna write down the goal, meet him, have him invite me, and then go in the next morning and then withdraw. Like that's just not who I am.
Yeah.
You know. So from there, boom, signed up. Now I'm part of the circle, and I know that he noticed all that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He's like, who the f- is this guy? Like this guy, he wasn't even invited. He just approached me on the side. You know, this guy just came out of the blue. everybody else that I did invite, and I'm over here trying to have them like pitch them and everything. I didn't even have to pitch this guy. That's what I do. You know what I'm saying? So from there, I put myself in that position with him, which again for the audience, that might have been contrarian, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Nice, dude. So then you put yourself in the position with him, and then what happened?
And then from there, we just started working. I did the one day in the office in San Diego with him. He broke down my business. He said, "Yeah, you don't have $1 million business yet. You know, you think you do, but you have a lot of work to do. Break this down, break this down, break this down." He gave me the spreadsheet. I was like, "I need you to fill in all this information and come back to me." From there, he said, "I only want like 2 months worth of data." He wanted to see like what kind of data I had in my CRM. You know, how many people I had contacted, opportunities, sent offers to, contracted, to get my lead to offer accepted, my closing percentage, so I can create a predictable outcome for my business. From there, he only wanted 2 months. What I did, I went back and I got it the whole year.
Nice.
So from there, I showed him. Boom. From there, he's like, "All right, I want you to keep tracking that." And he just kept coaching me on like leadership. You know, this is where you have to prevail and you have to be the voice in your company. Just weekly meetings with him, right? Weekly meetings with him. And I know that for sure he did have an impact on my business.
1,000%, and not only on your business, I'm sure on yourself too, personally.
On myself.
On how to, to manage something like that. He's done some fucking huge things. So, yeah, man. But that's great, and that's kudos to you for being an action taker. You know, I think so many people would get in that room and probably, buckle or like not do it. Look how many other people were in there, and I'm sure not everybody signed up.
Right, no.
Right?
Of course not.
And that's how life is, Life is the same thing, man. We get called to these opportunities at times, and sometimes we, go through, and sometimes we don't. So it's always good to be able to recognize those times.
Absolutely.
Which is pretty cool. Damn. So that's great, bro. I think that's a wrap.
I think that's a wrap, bro.
I think that's a wrap, brother. So how can people find you, follow you, get to know you? You're on Instagram. What was your Instagram handle again?
Instagram at @the_Omar Lopez. Yeah. And for everybody that's following me, where can people follow you?
You can follow me at ABC Capital Group on Instagram as well. If you want to follow me personally, it's Bleider Guanipa. We have to put it somewhere here because writing it is crazy. Just spelling it. But yeah, man, just hit us with a follow. Our goal, our mission, our purpose is to continue to inspire you guys to make sure that you're living a life that you can be proud of, man, and living a life where you can look back one day and say, "Coño, you know what? Coño, you know what? I did this, dude. I went to the boardroom. I talked to Kent. I dropped 50 G's, and I made that happen. That's great. Just in that alone, that builds you to be the type of person that you need to be to get shit done. So
absolutely.
So that's the goal, man. Stay sharp.
Stay sharp. Stay committed. Lose the fear. You know what? Instead of losing the fear is always gonna be there, but you still have to do it. That's the courage. Courage is knowing that the fear is gonna be there, but getting it done anyways. Confront the uncomfortable situations. It's the discomfort that's gonna make you grow. But if you atrophy, you're never gonna know what you're truly made of.